Master Ross! I didn't even do anything!
I know, that's the problem.
Welcome to Episode 4 of the Small Tales Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Barbaro Jr. Today's guest is Master Ross. He is the chief instructor and owner of Shaolin Kempo Academy in Branford, Connecticut. Let's welcome him to the show. Welcome to the podcast, Master Ross. It's a pleasure to have you here. Would you like to introduce yourself to the audience at home?
Certainly. My name is Ross Tisdale. I've owned Shaolin Kempo Academy for quite a few years. I started off as a student at this particular school back in 1986. I took over running it in 96. I bought it from the previous owner in 99, and that's more years than I care to count at this point in time.
Can you tell us about the philosophy behind Shaolin Kempo and how it influences the training at Shaolin Kempo Academy?
Certainly. Shaolin Kempo is basically the art of rearranging a person's body in a not-so-nice manner. What that means is it's very, very effective self-defense. It's not so much about going out and, getting into tournament sparring and things like that, although we do have a branch of students that do that. The main focus is training to be effective and training so that you can survive a confrontation with using the least amount of force as possible. We don't advocate people go around beating people up. We advocate you being able to defend yourself. That being said, most of the training is involved in how to stop somebody from attacking you by either punching you, kicking you, grabbing you, how to get out of there safely. Self-defense isn't just about being able to incapacitate your opponent. It's about not being in those situations and being able to de-escalate as well.
What sets your preschool martial arts program apart, and how do you engage such young students in learning martial arts?
Well, for our Tiny Tigers program, which is our preschool class, we base it on the three core principles of self-control, self-discipline, and respect. We teach the kids that the martial arts is about learning and how to accomplish goals and goal setting, and they have to earn stripes in order to progress in rank. They have to maintain a certain level of decorum so that when they're going up and learning more advanced techniques, they have this tools necessary to restrain themselves from doing it. That being said, with the Tiny Tigers class, it's more about karate preschool, and we teach them the basics of how to utilize their left from their right, doing different motor skills, building the coordination, their balance. They're learning the basic punches and kicks. They learn that it's okay to punch the bags and the pads, but it's not okay to punch and kick people.
Got it. Okay. Dragon Kempo is a unique offering. Can you explain what this class is about and who it's best suited for?
Certainly. The Dragons class is for our older children. It's like the 6 to 8 year old range. That's when we break away from just doing the basics that we would do in the Tiny Tigers class into getting more into the art form and start teaching them the hows and the whys, not just the how-tos of how the martial arts works. That being said, we're still, with that class, still kind of keeping the level of intensity down a little bit because they are still younger kids that need to learn the rules, self-control, self-discipline, and respect before we get into the level of technique that like an adult would use to defend themselves. Kids are going to get into situations that verbal or non-confrontational things are going to help them get out of it first, and then possibly just blocking before we advocate any kind of striking in any way, shape, or form.
Okay. How do you adapt your martial arts training for different age groups, from kids to adults, to ensure everyone gets the most out of their experience?
Okay, well, for some of the techniques, it's the exact same thing, whether a child would learn it and develop it or whether an adult would, because most of the moves in Kempo are not designed around strength. They're based in physics and, applied physics and how to do the moves effectively regardless of how strong you are. That being said, obviously the stronger somebody is, the more effective the move's going to be, but we teach them where to go and how to do stuff so that it's going to work whether you are a 100-pound person or whether you're a 300-pound person. You'll still be able to defend yourself against somebody.
Okay, next question. Kickboxing is your most popular class at Shaolin Kempo Academy. How do your kids' kickboxing and adult kickboxing classes differ, and what benefits do students typically gain?
Okay, well, the kickboxing is actually not the most popular class. The regular Kempo program is. The kickboxing class, though, is a great augmentation to those classes. It is a great chance for people who are a little bit leery about getting into martial arts training to kind of get their feet wet. It's also a great workout class. We teach you guys everything that you're going to be doing as far as getting in the ring and fighting without actually getting punched in the face. So there's no contact, there's no sparring in the class. It's all about how to generate power, how to hit the bags. You're learning timing, skill and movement. There is a lot of, you sweat a lot. There's a lot of calisthenics and cardiovascular benefits to it, along with anytime you're doing any striking and hitting the bag, you're causing little micro trauma to your skeletal system, which is actually going to make it stronger in the long run. So it's going to help with things like osteoarthritis, osteoporosis, because it increases your bone density. It's going to make you able to burn a lot more calories, feel better about yourself, and develop some strength and flexibility in the process.
Okay, next question. Yoga is often seen as a complementary to martial arts. How do you incorporate yoga into your programs, and what role does it play in your students' overall training?
Okay, so the yoga classes, my wife Michelle teaches those classes, and she's been doing it for almost as long as I've been doing martial arts. It increases the person's overall well-being, their flexibility, and it also gives them a chance to experience a calming and centering effect, that they're taking some time for themselves for personal care. They're able to sit there and while they're developing their flexibility and just kind of take the time for themselves to just kind of check in with themselves and their surroundings and feel good about themselves. There's quite a few people within the kickboxing program and both the martial arts program who do a little bit of both training because the two of them help each other.
Got it. Okay. Let's see, where am I? What do you find most rewarding about teaching martial arts to kids, and how do you see it impacting their development outside of class?
Wow, that's a big question. So I absolutely love when I run into former students or current students that have been either, leave for college, come back, things like that. Just having the impact on a lot of the kids' lives that I do in a positive aspect is just, it goes without saying. One of the biggest compliments I've ever gotten was when I have students that I trained back many, many years ago when I first started doing it. At this point in time now, they're bringing their kids to me. So their kids are taking classes. I've even had a couple of grandchildren of former students that have started classes. And just the fact that they would put that much faith and that much respect into our school and what we do, that they would entrust us with their children and bringing them back is just amazing. It's also great when I run out in the public, when I see, because I can't go any place without running into current or former students. I mean, even tonight when I walked in,
Our cameraman Tommy, yeah.
And just the amount of lives that I've touched over the course of my martial arts career has just been overwhelming. And I really, really love working with kids. The adults are great, but the kids are really where you form a lot of great attachments. And you see these kids that start off as, very insecure children. And then now I have one of my former students who, and the reason he's a former student, I lose a lot of kids to high school sports because we train them so hard. They get to high school and now they're doing, 4 hours a day of whatever sport they're playing, and they're making captain and playing 3 different varsity sports, or they leave for Yale. I have, I've had quite a few students that have went off to Yale from this or other highly prestigious schools on scholarships, and just, I've had kids that have trained with me for years that ended up competing on the world level. So it just can't even begin to describe the feeling of pride that I have when I see these kids in their lives and what they've accomplished.
Okay. For all adults interested in martial arts but new to it, what should they expect from the adult martial arts classes at Shaolin Kempo Academy?
Well, we do a mixed class because we have a lot of families that practice together and train together. So it's not going to be like that episode of Seinfeld when, he was in there with all the little kids and getting attacked by them.
I've seen that one before.
We have a very fun time with it. We, like I said, the family that kicks together sticks together. So there's a lot of ability for the kids and the adults to interact with each other. That being said, with adults only, we never pair kids and adults off together unless it's their own children and they want to practice with them. So it allows them more class times and more options. I'm sorry, I kind of got away from the question you asked. You were asking what the adults should expect. What they're going to do is they're going to come in and they're going to start learning the basics of the martial arts. We start teaching them, Kempo is a mixed martial art. We teach both Japanese karate and Chinese kung fu. They will learn the different aspects of both of the arts along with weapons training as part of our core curriculum. And there's a very standardized procedure in the order in which they learn things. But at white belt, which is the very first belt, they would learn how to defend themselves against a different grab, a punch, and they would learn some basic blocks, and they would learn their first kung fu form. Forms are a choreographed pattern that allow people to practice their basics in a repetitive manner, with it being fun and challenging without it getting to be boring.
Okay. How do you create a supportive and motivating environment for students at different skill levels, especially in diverse programs like yours?
I actually don't have to do much along with that. Most of the students do that. Everybody at the school is just very supportive of each other. We do a lot of peer work that I'll pair off different kids together, and some kids will be natural leaders. Some kids are a little bit more on the following side, and they kind of develop this great relationship and rapport. The higher ranks help out the lower ranks. There's no I'm better than you, you have to do this kind of stuff. None of that stuff that like you see in the movies and the TV. So quite a bit of peer to peer.
Okay. Let's see. What are your goals at Shaolin Kempo Academy in the coming years, and how do you plan to continue evolving your programs to meet the needs of your community?
Okay, so where I struggle, and this is where the problem is trying to find like-minded people to help out and start taking over teaching at the school, because I would love to have more people helping spread the art. That being said, developing staff is not an easy project, because it's not like I can just say, hey, I need a martial arts trainer. Somebody I have to take from and see what their attitude is like and who they are as a person first, and then go from there. Because it's not just about whether they can kick or punch. It's about what kind of a person they are, and finding that right person has been a bit of a challenge.
Okay. How can people get in contact with you for more information about Shaolin Kempo Academy?
You can reach us on the web at www.learnkempo.com. You can call us at 203-468-7287, or you can always email me at ross, R-O-S-S, at learn, L-E-A-R-N, Kempo, Kempo.com.
Okay. So I have one of my questions of my own. I've been taking some of your classes, and you're such a wonderful teacher. How do you work so well with kids, and how do you help them out so much?
Basically, I'm a giant child myself. I never quite grew up. You can ask my wife that one. I really adhere to the principle that the only difference between men and boys is the price of our toys. But I love being around kids. I love working with them. It's just a lot of fun. And I really, truly love the martial arts, and sharing that with other people on a daily basis makes my job kind of easy. I mean, yeah, there's always going to be days that you don't want to go to work and things like that. But for the most part, I love what I do, and it makes it just much easier.
Thank you for being on the podcast, and it's a pleasure to have you here.
You're welcome.
Thank you for watching episode 4 of the Small Tales podcast. Make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. A special thanks to East Haven Public Television for letting us use their studio space. If you own a business and would like to be a guest on the podcast, please check out the website. The link is in the description. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.